Well, we're down to the last two groups.
And you still haven't told me who's making up the numbers for Group 13.
It's a surprise.
This is me giving you skeptical eyes.
That's it, dude. Trust me, this dude's awesome.
Why do I have a weird feeling about this?
Well, you grapple with that. Let's recap the scores from last week. There were definitely some surprises as Chowhound had an impressive showing. Neckel and Cinder Foley did just enough to crack the top 18, while the likes of Arlo and Uncle Elvis probably wish they could have had their runs back. And unless somebody literally breaks, Hades looks like he's well on his way to collecting his second Yellow Snow Award.
I had Ajax check that car out, and he said it was the bush bar on the front that dragged in the snow. A little more clearance would have made a difference.
Well, let's see if these Group 12 drivers have picked up any tips for their run at the trail. Leading us out tonight, it's the Sisters of Heavy Metal from Dr. Dodge Diecast. This Spit and Venom Dodge Viper weighs 56.23 grams. In the middle lane, Raw Sun God from Raw Sun God Racing is driving the Batista Bomb, a Pininfarina Batista that weighs 56.58 grams. And get ready for this one, it's Bad Will Racing's Bleety O'Connor. He's driving Cranberry, a Jaguar XJ220 weighing 58.30 grams.
Are the Sisters of Heavy Metal a sorority?
No idea, but the bikini is not a suitable racing suit. Let's go to the top of the trail for race 1. This race was an absolute battle from gate drop. Dr. Dodge gets into it first with Raw Sun God as Raw Sun God's fast out of the gate, and then goes after Bleedy O'Connor just before the jump. Raw Sun God's pure speed and high center of gravity makes him wiggle out just after the jump, and it's Dr. Dodge and Bleedy O'Connor who battle it out, and unfortunately both peg it into this guardrail just before the pond. O'Connor is the benefactor of a beautiful bounce and gets his rig across the line for 11 points, just barely.
If these guys continue racing like this is going to be a fun one to watch. I kind of feel bad for Raw Sun God, but what's up with that gate on the front of his car? He's got some ground to make up, but there's plenty of racing left. There we go.
That's more like it from Raw Sun God. The sisters try to keep pace, but there's no keeping up with Raw Sun God. He's got that Batista humming, and he makes a clear break for the finish. The sisters look to overturn and maybe do some sunbathing.
I don't think that's a good spot to do that.
Either way, Raw Sun God comes across the line for a big 11 points. That's going to set him up well for his bid to get into the next round.
I don't think this is appropriate to be asking this, but is that a self-adjusting suspension under your carriage? Or are you happy to see me? Randy, just tie your winch to whatever the hell that is on the front of his car.
Each one of these drivers can make the second round with a full pull in race 3. That is disappointing for Bleedy O'Connor and the Sisters of Heavy Metal. Raw Sun God, on the other hand, blows their doors off and absolutely blisters the bottom half of the course. You can just catch how the Sisters and O'Connor get caught out by the jump. But the man of the match is definitely Raw Sun God and his Batista Bomb.
A fantastic effort from Raw Sun God punches his ticket into the next round.
Obviously, Raw Sun God knew what he had to do in order to advance into the next round.
Seriously, 28 points is no joke.
O'Connor slots in at 17th with his 20 points. And if things stay the way they are, Dr. Dodge is going to be going up against Sneaky Bob in a tiebreaker, as they both have 19 points.
Whoa, wait, hold on. So are you going to tell me who you called, or are you just going to find out when we find out?
All right. What's going on, buddy?
Thanks for coming, D.
Don't even trip, dude. Always happy to help a mother Canucker out. And ooh, who's this sweet little licorice whip?
If you even think of cutting in my lane, I will run you down and leave tire marks all over that pretty face of yours.
Aw, you think my face is pretty?
What? Wait, no, that's not what I meant. Whatever, shut up.
Okay. D, Indy's still a bit sour from the race against Numbskull, so you might want to just stay in your lane. Also, you're up like now, so go join Terrence and Blake at the top of the trail, and we'll get this thing started.
No problem, dude. I'll see you at the after party.
He's not serious, right?
Well, there is a history there, but we'll worry about that later. Starting us off for this last group, you might know him as King of the Mountain. It's Terrence Jr. from Redline Salvage Inc. driving Evelyn, a Porsche 939 weighing 49 grams even.
Lining up next to Evelyn, it's Underdogs Unleashed Blake. He's driving La Magnum, a Ferrari GTO weighing 60 grams.
And last but certainly not least, but definitely fashionably late as always, it's Bay City Daryl from Bay City Diecast. His ride is a McLaren Speedtail named Greystar. So you surprised?
A little, yeah.
Why? It's Daryl. Everyone loves Daryl.
Just go to race 1.
Well, it's a rude welcoming for Daryl, as it looks like Blake and Terrence Jr. both tag team him on the upper half of the course. Daryl looks to be minding his own business as he gets pinned by Blake up against the guardrail. That's when you see Terrence beeline it for him and pulls a pretty little spin move in front of him, causing Daryl to jam on his brakes just after the jump so he doesn't crash into him. That was actually a pretty sweet little move by Terrence Jr. Something I would expect from the King of the Mountain.
With moves like that, Terrence is definitely in it to win it.
It sure looks like it, and he cruises across the line for 11 points. Blake gets hung up behind the tires in the hockey net, which gives him 9 in what looks like it's going to be a competitive group.
Daryl, there's no point in being polite now. You have my permission to knock anybody out of your way that you need to.
And Terrence Jr. lives up to the hype. He takes 11 points in race 1.
And talk about taking advice to heart. Bay City Daryl just smokes Terrence Jr. after the jump. Terrence gets a little wiggly and Bay City just makes him pay for that opening round foible. You can see Blake in the background wondering if anything's going to happen with this and just cruise across the line for an easy 10 points.
Blake must be apologizing for what happened in round 1, because he cruises in really late and looks like he wants nothing to do with it.
It's tied up at the top after 2, but Bay City Daryl's knocking on that door.
What just happened to Terrence?
That rollover with Daryl must have caused something to go wrong in his steering, because he immediately puts it into the guardrail after the gate drops. Daryl looks like he wants a little bit more action, but he comes down and has a perfect run for 11 points. Blake is definitely keeping his distance from Daryl, and they both cruise across the line. That's full speed. And that's your perspective right there. And even though Bay City Daryl takes the last 2 laps with maximum points, it's Blake who runs away with 29.
Geez, I never saw Blake coming.
Blake quietly puts up 29, and that puts him at 5th place, while Bay City Daryl loudly puts up 28 and puts him in 8th. Terrence, on the other hand, unfortunately, his 20 only slots him in at 20th place. However, this creates a problem. We'll get to that in a sec, though, because Hades is your Yellow Snow winner. With 9 points, he beats out Numbskull by 2. Great race, guys. Only we've got one problem.
We've tallied the scores, and it looks like we've got a tie for the last 2 spots going into the next round. Blake and Daryl are good, but unfortunately, Terrence, you gotta run in a northern race-off.
So here's what's gonna happen. We've got 4 drivers vying for 2 transfer spots. So we're gonna run the 4 cars 4 wide for 4 laps. The top 2 will take the last 2 transfer spots into the round of 18.
Terrence, this means you're going to be taking on Craigster Sr., Cinder Foley, and Bleedy O'Connor.
And there's no time to wait.
The tiebreaker goes right now.
With 4 cars on the track, you know it's going to be action-packed. The gate drops and Terrence Jr. immediately gets out in front of the group. However, he gets a little too over to the left and gets in front of Craigster Sr., which spins him out. Meanwhile, Cinder thinks she's got a run of the course, but then clips the berm and spins out.
Okay, Craigster, we gotta do this quick. Your hot nuts are melting my snow.
With 1 more lap than normal, getting points is going to be important. Cinder Foley's on top after 1.
Lap 2 shows us who the fast cars are because Cinder Foley and Terrence Jr. get out quicker than Craigster Sr. and Bleedy O'Connor. However, Craigster and Bleedy also don't want to let go of their spot and pit maneuver Cinder and Terrence into the guardrails. They both spin and scrub speed and dump it into the gap.
What is it with these fire cars dumping it into the gap and trying to melt my snow?
Definitely not the lap these guys wanted, but Cinder Foley's still up after 2.
With the fast cars lined up next to each other, Cinder Foley and Terrence get out early, but Craigster wants to be part of this conversation as well. He attaches himself to the rear quarter of Cinder Foley, but unfortunately the jump spells disaster for that. I don't know if Cinder gave a little tail whip to Craigster before the jump, which makes him peg, but holy smokes, that was good. And as we watch Terrence spin it out just at the 9 line, Cinder Foley comes through with a big score. Just when we think we're done with this race, Cinder makes an attempt at 11 points. However, her effort is thwarted by the hockey net as she unfortunately pulls up for 9.
1 lap left. There's a food voucher waiting for you. Do you want moose meat or deer dog?
With only 11 points, it's going to take a miracle for Craigster to pull something out to get his name into the next round.
In race 4 again, we see the 2 fast cars take it to the 2 slow cars. Terrence looks to cut over to shut down O'Connor and Craigster, while Cinder Foley meets him halfway and says, "Let's go, bud." I still think Terrence Jr.'s car is affected by that hit that Bay City Daryl put on him in the opening round. Cinder, on the other hand, is as straight as an arrow.
Terrence, I think you're gonna have to wait for your meal voucher. I've only got one for Craigster right now.
And with that final run, Cinder Foley and Terrence Jr. punched their tickets into the second round.
Nothing like a strong finish.
Yeah, I worry about Terrence's car though. That hit from Bay City Daryl must have really shook him up.
Well, we'll go get him into the shop with Ajax and he can check him out. But with that, we now have our top 18. Willie Makeit's perfect run puts him at number 1, and Terrence Jr. with a last-ditch effort squeaks him into the 18th spot. Well, that round certainly was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I am so excited to see what round 2 has in store.
Even though you're not racing in it?
Well, I might go blow off a little steam at Daryl's party.
Oh man, if only you were there at the party at the Moon Tower, it was epic.
Is that the Deep Eddy one you're always going on about?
Man, those were good times.
Well, I'll let you know how it goes, because you're not invited.
It was funny, last time me and... Wait, what?
Yeah, sorry, Daryl didn't tell you? Racers only.
Son of a... That's it from Supersized Supercars at Elevation Trail. I've been your host, 905, and on behalf of Indy Rain, thank you for watching. If you like what we do, share, subscribe, comment. We'll see you again next time.
You know what, Daryl? I'll give you credit. This party was a good idea.
You think my face is pretty.